Welcome to week 6. This week we continue with guided reading. The goal of guided reading instruction is to enable readers to work through a text independently. So all of our teaching is directed to helping the readers build systems of strategic actions that they can initiate and control for themselves on any text they're reading. Not just the particular text they're reading that day for that lesson, but any text they're going to be reading. So, how is this done? It's done with expertise in your teaching, specifically the language teachers use to support the reader's learning. You use specific language when you provide an intro to the text that scaffolds reading. Teachers intervene briefly to do some powerful prompting for strategic activity when students are reading. You guide discussions so students grasp the meaning and deepen their thinking. And you do some specific teaching that reveals something important for students to notice or problems for them to solve. This specific language is what we call prompts. Very short, clear, direct statements or questions that give the reader the maximum information in the fewest words and are used sparingly. They're used when readers are at difficulty or after an error to support their problem solving, or after they have successfully problem solved to reinforce that effective processing. This is the important part. Too much talk clutters the teaching. So think about how to use the fewest words to accomplish your goal and to use those words carefully. Now, Fountas and Pinnell have prompting guides that are available through Heinemann. There's a prompting guide 1, a prompting guide 2. These are books I highly recommend that you purchase for your professional library. In these guides, they not only give you the specific prompt to use and when to use it, but they also tell you how to teach the prompt itself, and how to reinforce that prompt. For example, oftentimes when children come to a word they don't know or a word that's difficult, the first prompt that many teachers give is sound that out. An alternative would be, the picture will help you think about this part of the story. What we want the child to do is to check the picture for that meaning. Or we might prompt, can the picture help you think about this part of the story? Are you thinking what will happen next? And then to reinforce it, we might prompt, you were thinking about what would make sense. If we are teaching about structure, we might say, you said blah, blah, blah. That doesn't sound right. That's how we teach it. You said blah, blah, blah. Does that sound right? That's the prompt we would give the student. You made it sound right. That's what we would say after their problem solving. We're always prompting for meaning and structure first. Then we can prompt for the visual cue. This is a teaching visual information prompt. You can read it again and start the word. Here's the actual prompt. Get your mouth ready for the first sound. Reinforcing prompt is, you thought about the first sound and it helped you. So these prompts are very specific. They're short statements or questions. We need to be aware of that during our guided reading groups. It's easy to go off on a tangent and all of a sudden you've had this same group at your table for 30 minutes, which means you're not going to get to one of your other groups that day because your lesson ran over. So we want to be very cognizant of the language that we're using, and it's very specific. I encourage you to review Chapter 1 from our text this week. We also have Chapter 15, which is assigned this week, Teaching for Systems of Strategic Actions in Guided Reading. Chapter 16 is Teaching for Monitoring, Searching, and Self-Correction Behaviors. And Chapter 19 is the role of facilitative talk in supporting change over time in processing systems. If you have questions about guided reading, please ask me. My job is to help you understand it. Now, I want to say a little bit about your Literacy Beliefs final project. If you haven't already started thinking about it, I hope that you will begin thinking about it soon. We have learned an enormous amount of information so far, and we've only completed 5 weeks. Your final project is going to be synthesizing all of the information with your personal beliefs. Some things that you need to incorporate into this project. How does a child learn to read and write? What phases does the child go through? What research tells you this? What will your literacy classroom look like? What will it sound like? How will you structure your day to optimize learning? What is your belief on involving families in the literacy learning process? And how will you do that? What methods of instruction will you use to teach students? What research do you have to validate your methods? How does assessment factor into your literacy teaching? How will you use that assessment? For your final Literacy Beliefs project, you need to cite more than 5 research-based sources. If you have questions about this, please ask me. I'm more than willing to help you. Thank you.